Hey guys, and welcome back to the Geekbox, and welcome to the start of a new short series that I'm doing based around Bethesda's three main single player Fallout games. That's Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 4. Obviously I know that Fallout New Vegas was an Obsidian game, but still it was Bethesda's ownership of the series at the time, and it was built off the Fallout 3 engine. Well, during this series it's going to be a what if series. Now obviously this is just scenarios playing out and just my thoughts around it based on different things changing throughout the games. Today we're going to be starting off with what if in Fallout 3 James had never left the vault. Now in this as well I will not be including any of the DLC content, as I feel that the DLC content is a completely separate entity to the game when it comes to this scenario, as obviously there are things that only focus around the Lone Wanderer themselves and they don't have a gigantic impact on what actually happens in the main game itself. So I'll just be sticking with the base value version that you can buy and that you got when it first came out. Well, starting off obviously Vault 101. Well, this is where obviously you grow up and you see James as your dad and you create your character. But moving forwards with that, what we learn about the vault shows that I think if James had stayed in the vault would just continue the way it was. The numbers constantly shrinking as the decades passed by, and the Overseer being too stubborn to do anything about it. I don't see the Overseers doing anything that extreme or radical with James and Jonas nearby, as it is already quoted in the game the fact that he knows that they'll stand against him. But at the same time I think that James and Jonas wouldn't make any other dramatic moves because of the reaction they know they'd get from the Overseer. Obviously the break with this would be if a new Overseer took over in the future, which you'd have to believe would be a martyr, and that would only probably come once the Overseer actually succumbed to either illness of old age or dying of any other cause. Obviously without the Lone Wanderer and James leaving, Marta wouldn't have led her rebellion against the door being closed as well, and as I said, the cycle would just continue until something would take over, basically probably being starvation, or it would just be people dying from thirst, or just they can't repopulate themselves fast enough, or it could be anything from a damage to the actual vault. Say like in the original Fallout game where the water chip broke and all their water became contaminated. There's a lot of variables there that could actually get them, but overall it would just be that Vault 101 would stay self-contained until eventually it became just a giant grave. Well, Megaton's the next place to look at. Obviously Megaton's the first village that you go to actually when you leave, that you proper have an interaction with, and it's the next step of the game. And well, you've got the nuclear bomb for a start, the actual centre of Megaton. Now obviously without James visiting and without that leading to you, the Lone Wanderer, visiting, that bomb probably wouldn't get disarmed and would either just be sat there doing nothing until eventually it just wore itself through or radiated all the area around it, or somebody actually would have actually tinkered with it to either try and fix it and probably blown it up, as it has shown that most of the people in Megaton don't have that sort of skill set, which is why you have to do a lot of the things that you do in Megaton. Or they would have taken the mission for Mr. Burke and actually blown the bomb up so they could have access to Tenpenny Tower themselves. Aside from that as well, without you and James leaving, Colin Moriarty wouldn't have been able to blackmail you into finding Silver to get his money back, and you never would have found out the truth about the fact that you were actually born outside of Vault 101. The water system would eventually collapse as well, as the damage would have gotten worse and worse, and Leo Stoll probably would have succumbed to his chem addiction. Obviously if you leave Leo to his addiction, or you even aid it in the game, you do find he eventually overdoses himself on Jet and dies, and as Leo is the other person that works on the water mains without him there as well, the water system would eventually collapse and it would just cause so much trouble inside Megaton that they'd have to outsource to find water, and I think eventually they'd actually start running out of water to actually survive with, and maybe even have to fall back on irradiated water to start drinking, which eventually would kill everybody off or just ghoulify them. The last part, obviously, of Megaton is that without you there, Moria wouldn't find somebody to help her write the Wasteland Survival Guide, as again, the number of people with skills doesn't seem to be that high in Megaton, and obviously the guides have benefited other people in the future, as we saw in Fallout 4. See, another major place to look at as well is Rivet City. Now obviously without the Lone Wanderer and James visiting Rivet City on their trips, Dr. Lee would probably not have found her desire to work on bigger projects again, and she would have been just stuck working in a boring little lab, working on trying to create pure carrots and other vegetables as you see in the game. And obviously that would have a wider effect, as the fact that Madison Lee was one of the people that worked on Project Purity to help make it work, and also would later on go on to work with the Brotherhood and have a worldwide effect in that aspect as well. Zimmer, who we actually learn obviously is from the Institute that you are put into in Fallout 4, wouldn't find Harkness, who was the hidden synth, as it seemed that nobody else was willing to help him, and as a result Harkness would never find out the truth of himself, and Abraham Washington would never get the Declaration of Independence as the key piece of his American History Museum, and smaller things as well would be affected, like Diego would end up staying loyal to the Church of St. Monica, leaving Angela Stately alone or open to find someone else in the long run, so that love story would never play out either. See, a big one is Galaxy News Radio. Now obviously Galaxy News Radio is a small place in the game, but it has a big part in the main storyline pushing along. Now obviously without your interference at GNR, the transmit would never get fixed, because nobody would ever end up going on the trip that they needed to collect the Luna 2 disc, and obviously it already stated in the game that the Brotherhood of Steel wouldn't actually give aid to Three Dog in getting the disc, and obviously that would then leave Three Dog just restricted to a very small range of transmissions, so he couldn't give out his information, or if you'd like to call it wisdom, to people across the wasteland, and eventually they'd end up only being able to listen to the Enclave radio stations. Now for those that visited there in the game, Arafu was just a small village built on a broken bridge, and you were led there after taking a mission from Megaton from Lucy West, and it also left you to the mystery of the West family. Now obviously without the action taking place, the mystery wouldn't get solved. The village would probably get left in fear, if not wiped out completely by raiders or even the family. And the family, who are the vampires that you find in the game, they would have found Ian West, and he would have become a permanent member of their family instead. Lucy West would have been completely oblivious to what happened to her family unless she went there herself. And it's just a small thing, but it would have made a big difference to certain people there. As is the same in Big Town. Now, Big Town, short but sweet. People would keep coming from Little Lamplight when they turned of age to Big Town. Super mutants would have kept wiping them out or taking all the people until eventually there was nobody left, and Big Town would cease to be on the map. Canterbury Commons would be a similar situation in regards to the battle between the antagonizer and the original mechanist would just continue to rage on until either one of them died or the town itself got wiped out in all the crossfighting. Obviously this situation only got resolved with your interference, so it's another one of those small things that just made Fallout so great, is the fact that all these little stories happened continuously around the wasteland that you took part in. But as of the point of the video, if James hadn't left, we never would have had any of this. Tenpenny Tower, without the interference of the Lone Wanderer, the ghouls led by Roy Phillips would eventually overrun and find their way into Tenpenny Tower. Upon getting in there, they would have killed all the human residents in there and taken over it themselves. So again, another small effect to the ripple caused by you and James leaving the vault. And of course we have to talk finally with the Wasteland's influence as a whole. Now across the Wasteland, the lack of influence from both of you would just lead to no Project Purity. No Project Purity, no clean water for the Wasteland. The Wasteland therefore would just continue going in the way it was and just struggling to find any sort of decent water. The Enclave would never have been drawn into the capital to begin with, because they never would have found out about Project Purity, and they never would have had their battle with the Brotherhood. that would have left the Brotherhood as the solo power regardless. Obviously in the actual gameplay, even not including Broken Steel, the Brotherhood fought down the Enclave and obviously pushed them back to a point, but it also would have left the Enclave to have effect in other areas in the surrounding place as well. So it has a constant ripple effect outwards still. Well, that's all I'm covering for this one, guys. As I said, I didn't want to go too long with it, as I've seen some videos similar to this that have actually gone on for about 40 minutes, and I don't know about you, but for me that kind of felt like it was too long. So I just want to say thanks for watching, guys. Obviously let me know what you think about what would have happened in the Wasteland, and obviously for any of the games, if you've got any particular scenario you'd like me to give my thoughts and overcover like I have with this one on, feel free to drop it in the comments below. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Welcome back to the Geek Box. I know I took a small break and I've had things to sort out both personally and for YouTube, but I'm back on it now, and the support I've had from you guys whilst I've been away has been fantastic. And if you're new to this, feel free to drop subscribe on there. All your support is always welcome and it's fantastic. It keeps me going all the time, and I'd want to hear any ideas you guys have got as well. Well, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you out there.